Guess we'll start over here and then we'll move over there. Had the interruptus. So I say this a lot. You know, leaving your gas in your carburetor over the winter months or over the summer months, depending on if it's a snowblower or a lawnmower, can cause all sorts of problems. Now, sometimes it's just cheaper to buy an aftermarket carburetor, swap it out, whatever. Sometimes it's easy to fix one of the old ones, just depends. Depends how clogged up it is. It's not a whole lot to these, but if you look, see how it starts rusting? It's because of the alcohol in this gasoline that they're selling us. That alcohol collects water. Now water then does all sorts of damage inside the unit. Now, if you look at some of the aftermarket carburetors here, they're missing these, like a Welch plug, similar design, but they lack some features, and they have better reliability sometimes. Just depends. But like that little tiny hole right there, probably can't see it as well, and the mess. But you can see it over here on this new carburetor. That causes a hell of a problem if you don't have that thing cleared. What happens is the shellac gets up in there. You can see somebody was tooling and monkeying around with this one and over tightened it, and that happens too. And people call me up and they ask me to fix crap, and like I said, just sometimes it's cheaper to go ahead and buy a new carburetor, replace. This one probably could have been saved. I don't know why I replaced it, but a little bit of corrosion. Oh yeah, this one had the plastic innards. So inside these had plastic innards, but in these rubber O-rings, they they call them needle seats. They wear out. And this is like an emulsion tube. That's what I call it on all of them, an emulsion tube. This one also has the plastic innards. Probably could have been rebuilt for a couple bucks for the kids or whatever. And then the older ones and the aftermarket ones have brass emulsion tubes or jets, or and they got away from some of that altogether, and they put it into the needle itself, or into the I call it a high-speed screw, or high-speed pickup. So this is just an example. And this is not a rotted out one. And they get yellow like that. They're not supposed to be yellow like that. This one has a dry gasket on it that's, probably could have been replaced as well. But what happens here is, in this particular case with that guy there, the gentleman was complaining that the gas was coming out of the primer, and very well could have been that the gas was coming out of the primer, because what happens is when this gets stuck in an open position, because the needle gets stuck inside the inlet, fuel inlet side of this, it will cause that float to stay open and the gas to continually flow in, especially if you have a couple combinations like uplocked vent, or when you're pushing the primer, you're just filling the bowl up more, and it's actually either coming from here or here in those cases. So this was just a pen that held that in, held the float in here. We can just, this one's a pretty easy one to work with, and that's why I demonstrate with it. This is usually what I show people, but we'll load it up and I can just share it with people. Ethanol gas is bad. You should always treat your gas, regardless whether it's ethanol free gas or ethanol gas. Just kind of muddling through this container. So this would be the screw that goes in the bottom of most of these carburetors, like the Tecumsehs. This one has a different screw that goes in the bottom, and this would also have a different screw. This would just be a 10 millimeter bolt in the bottom. But if you look here, there are two holes, and one is actually to drain off the remaining fuel inside this float bowl. A lot of guys will be like, hey, I run my snowblower until I run it out of gas. That's great, that's fine and dandy. Hang on here a minute. Here's another box of carburetors. Let's see if this doesn't fall off. So, see where that line is at? That's where the fuel was actually sitting at inside this carburetor. Because that float bowl, in most cases, will look similar to this. May not have this screw on it. And or may not even have the purge button on the bottom to relieve the fuel that's remaining in there. So then you're left with a potential for a disaster. And with like units like this, the gasoline will turn black or brown because it's actually its chemistry is changing completely. So then again, here's the float gets stuck in the up position. Fuel just keeps flowing in there, and eventually it will either come out of your vent or out of your emulsion tube. Just open this choke up here, and right there. So best thing to do is put stabilizer in your unit. Second best thing to do is use ethanol-free gas. Third thing to do is make sure that you drain your carburetor out. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully it's still recording. And like in this particular case, if you keep pushing this primer button, it will fill that bowl up. That float bowl will get full. And eventually we'll need to find a place to go. Now, this wasn't going to run either way because it was clogged up, but we're almost out of gas. That's why that's surging like that, because there is not a whole lot of gas left in that, and it's kind of leaning forward, and the petcock's towards the back of that. Put this on. I may have shut it. No, it's still on, but this does still have an on-off fuel button, but there's not a whole lot of gas in the bottom of that, so it's going to struggle to go ahead and pull gas in. But you know, the other thing to do is always shut it off and then pull that bolt in the bottom of that and drain the gas out. So just be mindful. You know, I collect these, and I've done other videos about this, and I just, you know, we'll share this with a gentleman and get his snowblower back to him. It's in pretty decent shape other than the nail that's in it, but these are all failed dreams here of carburetors and gasoline. You know, machines that wanted to run but couldn't run because the gas had spoiled. And maybe in this one I'll put the Bob Vila link in there. But there's another. You know, these are two strokes that, you know, end up having problems, and you can rebuild them, but sometimes it's just not worth it. You know, and that's what it is. Yeah, and just like this Harley Davidson that's become horribly uncomfortable in my garage. You know, maybe this weekend I'll finish it up. We'll see. Easter weekend. Hopefully everybody's having a great week so far, and if we don't talk before then, have a happy Easter.